So welcoming you all here, and I hope you just enjoy this evening and find it relaxing. At any point, if you need to cough or readjust your position, feel free to do so. If you fall asleep, it just means you were really relaxed. Just try not to fall over, please. And you don't have to worry about doing it right, because take what works for you, what's useful to you, and that's really what's most important about tonight. And although I've been working on these things on and off for a long time, I believe we're all works in progress, and I need perpetual reminders myself. And so just take away what's useful. We will begin with a meditation, and as I said, if you need to readjust at any point, do so. So you can begin, you can have your eyes open or closed, whatever feels most comfortable for you. Just let yourself spend a moment just grounding, just feeling your chair and the body, your body in the chair. Feeling your back supported, the chair underneath you, wherever your body is connecting. Your feet may be on the floor. And just bring your awareness to breath. You don't have to fix it or change it. Just notice your breath. And whenever I'm asked to do this, I find my breath gets a little more jagged, but just notice whether your breath is fast or slow, whether it's smooth or jagged, shallow or deep. Just notice where in your body you feel the sensation of breath. Could be at the tips of your nostrils, could be in your chest or your belly, wherever it may be. Just noticing the sensation of breath as it moves in and out of your body. Sounds may distract, thoughts may distract. Whenever you catch up and realize that you've gotten lost in yourself, that's okay. Just bring your attention back to breath, however many times that might occur. Inhaling and exhaling at your pace in a way that's comfortable for you. Letting yourself relax into your breath. Perhaps imagining with your inhalation a warm light filling your body. And as you exhale, imagining that you can relax and release. That warm, light, and nourishing breath, soothing and healing your body. And as you exhale, letting go. Perhaps very, very gently at the end of an exhalation, just gently explore whether there might be a little more breath to exhale, not striving or straining or going to the end of breathlessness. actually easier to inhale more fully if we can exhale more deeply. But just being very gentle with yourself. If you go too far and it feels uncomfortable, just bringing it back a little. Not forcing or controlling, but just allowing your breath to relax and to slow. If we make our exhalation even the tiniest bit longer than our inhalation, we activate the parasympathetic or calming system. And a couple ways that we can play with that might be useful to you. You can possibly imagine a rectangle where you're inhaling on the short side according to your pace, exhaling on the longer side. Inhaling on the shorter side, exhaling on the longer side. If you prefer, you can try counting the pace of your inhalation and making your exhalation even one count longer. But not forcing your breath, just allowing yourself to let your own breath guide you in a way that's comfortable for you. Inhaling calm, exhaling, just allowing yourself to relax. And just taking a moment or two to just really allow yourself to just let your breath guide you in a way that is comfortable for yourself. Inhaling calm, exhaling tension. Mind wanders, come back to breath. Just allowing your breath to slow and deepen by allowing it to relax. Inhaling that warm light that just spreads through your body, nourishing and soothing. And exhaling, relaxing and releasing. Once in a while, just seeing at the end of your exhalation whether you can comfortably deepen it. No right or wrong. It's a busy time of year, and good for you for building in an opportunity to just take some quiet time for yourself. Doing this offering for yourself. Where's your mind? Just continue to return to breath, however often your mind may wander. That's what our minds do. Our minds are there to think. Sometimes challenging to quiet them. So be patient with yourself. And then gently just noticing any sensation in your head. You may or may not notice anything. There's no right or wrong. But notice any area that you may notice that you might be holding tension. Imagine that you can just direct that beautiful warm breath into that area. And with your exhalation, just allowing it to relax. Notice if you feel anything around your eyes. How about your jaw? Many of us hold tension in our jaws. What about your tongue? Can you relax your tongue inside your mouth? As you continue to just nourish your body with that beautiful, warm light of breath. Inhaling calm, exhaling, just allowing yourself to let go. Noticing your neck. Is there any tension or any sensations that you notice in your neck? Notice if there's no tension as well. Or you may not notice any sensation in particular, and that's all right. Checking into your shoulders, your upper arms, your elbows, your lower arms, your wrists, your hands, and your fingers. Just notice any sensation. Notice whether you attach judgment to any sensation. Do you get annoyed with it? Does it feel okay? Do you feel awkward if you're not identifying sensation? Just bringing yourself back into your body. Noticing your upper spine and your upper back. Your chest and feeling of air entering and leaving your chest. Noticing any sensation in your belly. Sounds distract, just bring yourself back to breath. Checking into your hips, your upper legs, your knees, breathing that warm light into each part of your body. And as you exhale, just allowing any tension to be released. Checking out your calves and your shin. Your ankles, your feet, and your toes. Just breathing that beautiful warm light into your body. Exhaling, relaxing, and releasing. Just take a couple minutes to just allow your body to just relax, settle into the chair, settle into your body in this moment. Now perhaps bring the backs of your thumbs to your eyebrow center, that point in beneath your brows, in between your brows, and using the knuckles of your thumbs just to go above your eyebrows, across towards your temples, taking a moment to use the knuckles of your thumbs or your fingertips to just gently massage in your temples. Following down your jawline, massaging your jaw, and then following the line towards your chin. Repeating that again, starting in between your eyebrows and just across your brows, massaging into your temples above your ears, down in front of your ears, into your jaw, coming to meet at the chin, and then meeting your thumbs at the bridge of your nose and coming down along your cheeks and back up towards your ears. Just allowing your fingers to follow the contours around your cheekbones, up, back towards your temple, and back down along your jawline. And then taking your fingers and allowing them to massage your scalp. You can use the palms of your hands if you want, again on your temples, and just allowing your fingers to massage your scalp and exploring those cords on either side of your neck that go from your neck up into the back of your head. And just allowing yourself to spend a moment massaging your scalp, massaging those cords and the ridge they meet at the back of your skull. Letting yourself massage any part of your head or your face that appreciates a little bit of extra attention. And allowing yourself and letting your hands, when you're ready, to relax back into your lap. But taking a moment to direct any breath towards any part of your body that just needs a little more attention and care. Just imagining that you can direct that warm breath towards that area with your inhalation, and with your exhalation, any particular discomfort or sensation, you allow it to just let go and release. And just take a moment to notice the state of your body. See if it may or may not be any more relaxed than it was when you entered this evening. But if you notice what your body feels like when it's relaxed, it's often easier to return to a relaxed state if you've registered in your brain what that might feel like. Where is your mind? Come back to breath and to body. Now I invite you to imagine yourself in your safe place. It may be a place you have known, or it might be a place of your imagination, but just allowing yourself to go to a wonderful place. You may choose to be there by yourself, or you may choose to bring people with you. That's your choice. What are you seeing in this place? What are the objects? What are the colors? Are there any particular scents or sounds? Lots of sounds. Are there any smells that you notice? What does the air feel like upon your skin? What temperature are you enjoying? Just imagine yourself in this place of wonderful comfort where you feel safe and secure. And whatever else may be going on in your life, in this exact moment, you know that you're okay. In this very moment, you're doing all right. And in this moment, and imagine that you feel a sweater or a jacket or a shawl, and it's just the exact right weight for you. It's really comfortable. Maybe a favorite sweater, or it may be a piece of artware that you'd love to have. But it just nestles so comfortably in your skin. It's just the right temperature. It's ever so comfortable. And you realize that there's a really unusual quality to the fabric of this garment. Because whatever doesn't serve you in this exact moment just slides right off. It's almost got an unusual material to it. Because in this very moment, you just feel the fabric surrounding you, just the right amount of air between your body and the fabric, just the right temperature, and thoughts or concerns just slide away. This is your space. This is your safe place. And in this moment, you're safe and you're comfortable. Breath is nourishing your body. You have around you what you need. And just notice what it feels like for you to be safe and comfortable in this very moment. Just imagining that you're as comfortable as you can possibly be right now. Knowing that you're okay. Don't have to be perfect. You're comfortable and safe and secure in this moment. Letting that beautiful, warm light of breath surround you and nourish you and relax you. And gently, as you begin to prepare to return to this room, imagine that you can gather up any feelings of comfort or relaxation that you've created for yourself and tuck them into your heart center as you gently prepare to return to this room and this moment, bringing with you any bit of relaxation or calm that you've created for yourself. And when you're ready, you can gently allow your eyes to open as you come back to this room. Feeling your body again, being supported by the chair. So our mind and our bodies are utterly interconnected. We are biopsychosocial creatures. Each influences the other in a variety of ways. Our hearts and our gastric systems, our gut biome, communicates as much with the brain as the brain does with those parts of our systems. And through intentionally working on mindfulness and trying to be present in this moment can help us to shift our relationship with pain. So John Kabat-Zinn introduced mindfulness-based stress reduction through the medical community in the 1980s, I think, in Boston. And since then, it has been studied really extensively. And mindfulness and meditation, we spend very little of our lives in the moment. We get so involved in our head. Mind think, that's what our brains do. And we think we should often be able to just still them. But we spend an awful lot of time ruminating on the past or worrying about the future. And we forget to notice the moment very often. And so much research has shown that mindfulness and meditation improve brain functioning by decreasing activity in the fear-inducing amygdala of our brain and increasing activity in the prefrontal cortex, which manages our emotional control. Pain is a multidimensional experience involving sensory, our physical experience of pain, our cognition, our thoughts, and our affective issues, our feelings about pain. And these dimensions very much interact and influence each other. But we can choose to try and intervene and intentionally use breath to calm the body. So what I love about doing breathing where our exhalation is even slightly longer than our inhalation. I think most of us, or many of us, or I certainly thought for years, that we had to calm our bodies in order to calm our minds. But I found it incredibly useful, as my clients seem to find that there's just this trick that if we make our exhalation longer than our inhalation, it relaxes our body, which in turn helps to relax our mind. So I found that to be a very, very useful trick. If our exhalation is just slightly longer, it activates our parasympathetic or calming system. And it's a very useful strategy to deal with physical pain or emotional pain or anxiety, worry, and depression. One of the things that we do in pain typically, I don't think I'm alone in this, when we're in pain, we tend to clench. And when I clench, I'm entrapping that pain in my body. I'm holding it stiff and tight. And if I can allow my body to relax, then it also helps to release the pain. Breathing helps to relax us. And when we notice, as I said, what our body actually feels like when it's more relaxed, it's easier to recognize and return to that sensation. It's also, we have the physical experience of pain, but equally important are our cognitions, our thoughts, and our feelings about pain. Because physical pain is one thing, and I've had all kinds of crazy sensations in my body. Some of them are odd and perhaps disturbing, tingling in places that shouldn't necessarily be tingling, but they're not necessarily painful. But we learn to broadly apply the term pain, and then we get into lots of distress. What does this mean for me? What does this mean for my future? How am I going to cope? Am I going to remain mobile? We sort of develop all these thoughts and worries about pain that doesn't have to actually do with a physical sensation necessarily that we're experiencing in that moment, that it's all the stuff around it. So as Phil and I were mentioning prior, pain, we are all likely to experience pain at some points in our lives. But suffering is about the conversation in our minds and all of the power that we ascribe to pain. And that often makes the challenge of dealing with pain ever so much greater. I found it useful to analyze my pain, like, is it actual pain? So I noticed the other day, I thought, wow, I'm really whining in my head about the pain in my body right now. But I've dealt with way more difficult pain than this. But it was really interesting for me to notice how relative things become at a particular moment in time, because I just get annoyed and fed up with it at times. But even though the pain itself might not be nearly as intense as pain I've experienced at other times. Pain is physically unpleasant, but not all of our odd sensations are acutely painful. And it often really, I think, can be useful to analyze our pain. Like, what is this sensation like? Is it a lightning bolt down my leg, or is it an aching? Is it a nagging feeling? What is it? And if we can start to examine our pain, in the process of doing that, we are slightly stepping out of it. If we can explore our pain and analyze and label it, we're intellectualizing it, which is not necessarily a bad strategy. And it gives us, in that moment of exploring, there is a pause. And that pause allows us to be a little bit less controlled by the physical and emotional experience of pain. So I'm not suggesting that we enjoy our pain, because quite honestly, pain sucks. But how can we best manage it for our own well-being? And sometimes it's not the physical pain itself that's as difficult for us, but the suffering comes from all the emotional weight that we allow pain to command. The conversations in our head are what I realized, what I learned from Mara, is it's important to notice, where am I not in pain? Because I can go, oh, I'm so sick of pain, and I'm always in pain, and I'm all, but it's like, my baby finger isn't in pain, my left hand isn't in pain. There's lots of parts of me that aren't in pain. So it's important to try and notice those things rather than only noticing where we are experiencing pain. Noticing where we're not in pain and when we're not in pain. Are there good things that your body does for you? Because I can get really cranky with my body at times, but there's other times where I can appreciate, wow, this body is actually managing to do pretty well, and it's managing to achieve all kinds of things, which is important for my own sense of balance. There are moments where I feel like I hate my body, which I don't think is a really helpful emotion, to hate myself. So I have to catch myself when I notice that, because again, we tend to clench more, we tend to hold more tension. So noticing that and allowing ourselves a little bit of grace, it doesn't mean we have to embrace our pain or love it, pretend to love it. But if we're experiencing something, it is what it is. And railing against what is typically not a helpful use of our energy. So if we can, I didn't clearly make up the phrase, it is what it is, but it's a useful phrase, I have found, to allow us more room to deal with the situation that is. And it creates a bit of a pause. So what are some other strategies to help us? Distraction is a great strategy for dealing with pain, whether that's real distraction or metaphorical. Music, listening to music, whatever kind of music you appreciate, or making music if you sing or play an instrument of any kind, because any kind of creativity that you practice can allow you to get into a very different flow. One of the other things that we like to do with pain is to become very sedentary and not move, because it hurts sometimes to move our body when we experience pain. Our bodies desperately need us to move. And I used to find that I could kind of walk through pain. This was prior to spine surgeries. But it was really quite interesting to see that for quite a while, if I walk, and the other thing about being outside and in nature is, again, engaging our senses. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? Are there birds? What are you smelling? What are the scents? What are you sensing? What's the feeling of sun or breeze on your skin? Even just being outside, physically changing your position, shifting things can help. Calling a friend, doing something that's supportive, or making yourself something that you really enjoy eating. And one of the things that I encourage people to do is make a list, keep a list, develop a list of your tools. What tools do you find work best for you? Because we all find different strategies that are most useful for us. So the other thing is, though, we have to remember that we have strategies. And when we're stressed is when we're least likely to be able to remember. So I had hoped to bring colored Post-it notes tonight for people to take home. Because if we put up a Post-it note, even just with a B on it for breathe or M for mindfulness, it just helps to cue us, to bring us back to this moment. And we have to move them around as well, because our brains adapt and just sort of stops noticing them fairly quickly. So it's useful. We can develop great tools and have them in our toolkits. But when we're stressed, it's really hard to remember that we have tools. So that's why I find it very useful to have cues. And bringing us back to this moment, because often in this moment, we can actually cope with pain. Again, it's our fears as to what the pain might represent or mean that can be overwhelming for us. I love using red lights as an opportunity to practice breathing. I keep my eyes open, but I allow my gaze to soften, and it's just that 30 or 45 seconds or 50 seconds, however long red lights are, to just practice breathing, especially because we often can become tense while driving. And I just like to remind myself to use red lights as an opportunity to just use breath, to relax my body, and just practicing. Again, by extending our exhalation just to be a little longer than our inhalation, we activate our calming system. And if you enjoyed the safe place exercise, develop your safe place and continue to return to that, because if that was something that was enjoyable for you or could be enjoyable for you, you can always retreat to your safe place when you need a quiet moment. It's important to identify what soothes, calms, or nourishes you. And we can also use touch ourselves. We rely on other people. We're humans. We really need touch. But we can also provide that to ourselves. We can pat our hearts and calm them. We can use bilateral brain stimulation by doing slower breathing while patting our shoulders, which also helps calm the brain. And using touch to help ourselves manage pain, or hugging ourselves or holding ourselves. I remember the first time in a workshop, it was actually Paula Fairman who had us swinging our arms and then had us hug ourselves, and it freaked me out a little bit, hugging ourselves, but it was kind of a wonderful experience. And I will forever remember that experience and remember her. Also, the idea of impermanence can either be terrifying, or there's ways in which it can be reassuring, because even when we're in intense pain, no moment lasts forever. And so there's this moment, and then this one, and then the next one. We will all experience pain, and we will all experience loss. How we care for us during those times, however, we have some control over. We don't have control over our lives necessarily, but we can influence how we manage. Using heat and using cold. We forget about using cold, and cold does not seem like it could be comforting. But sometimes, if dependent on what kind of pain you're having, cold can actually really help to bring it down. I don't discourage anyone from using medications as directed, by medical people if needed. And CBD has been shown to have a lot of results as well. Sometimes we need to get out of our own heads, and so by being with others or doing things to serve other people or being with others who are struggling more deeply than we are, that perspective taking can also help. So bottom line, I encourage people, and this one's a real challenge, to be kind to ourselves, to be gentle with ourselves. And although we will all experience pain, there are ways of helping ourselves cope with and manage pain that can make it a little less overwhelming. Now I'd like to open up for questions or thoughts or ideas.
Or maybe what strategies have you discovered that you have found effective in dealing with your pain?
Just happening. I think you talked about the bilateral stimulation.
Yeah, bilateral stimulation.
Yeah, so that, like, especially for me, it's the audio, and it works really well. It was
Like a clicking?
No, not clicking. It's like you hear the sound, and then it goes from one ear to the other. It basically does the same thing.
Right.
It's either this one, or you tap your heels, or this. Or for me, it's like the audio one. It works really well, and the pain processing or like whatever is going on in your head, it just helps it process sort of better. Like you do it at least once a week or something.
Okay, thank you. So one of our participants is saying that bilateral stimulation, whether it's sound that goes one ear then the other, or tapping shoulders or knees or feet, can be is it calming for you?
It was kind of taught to me by one of the counselors, and then after I started practicing that, like I mean, it is like in a medical setting at first, but then you can do it at home also.
Right.
So then it becomes very helpful for a lot of different situations.
So are you talking mostly about physical pain or emotional pain or both?
I'm talking about like a variety of like stuff. So it's a mix of a lot of things. So that technique is called EMDR. So the one that was taught to me. So it helps. Like for me, it's usually like the back pain, and it can be any emotional stressors, or if you have final exams or something.
Can you explain how you do the audio? I'm a little confused by.
Oh, so there is like this apparatus where you can that apparatus you can use it in different ways. So you have the medical professional, like so she would be controlling a little like a device. So that device stimulates the bilateral thing. So it can either, if you're holding it, then it vibrates from this hand to this. It just keeps vibrating. And the other one is like, if you don't want because I don't like to hold things in my hands. that it gets too much of stimulation just with that. So I like the audio one. So you just put the headset, and she has something, and then she just click on that thing, and then the sound just keeps moving from one ear to the other.
So you're talking about a technique that's often used in EMDR, which stands for eye movement desensitization reprocessing, which is a method of treating trauma that one way of doing it is having the practitioner moving her fingers so that you're looking back and forth. But it works equally well, or and some people enjoy it or find it much more comfortable to use it with either an audio headphones that have just a sound that goes one ear the other ear, alternating. But it also works physically if you're tapping. So I think that that's a great strategy, and I think especially in combination with breath, because the intent of EMDR, as I understand it, is to break that pattern of stress in the nervous system, is to interrupt that pattern. And with the bilateral stimulation, it helps to just break that pattern in the nervous system.
Yeah, like suppose if I'm not in a setting with a medical, like a registered professional, so if there's like a meeting or an exam or something, so the best way to calm myself down is just
Tapping your knees
tapping,
alternately.
This one helps more, like with the heels, maybe you put the feet and then you do this thing. So it's exactly what you said, it breaks the thought process.
Thank you. That's a
And
great.
what you're doing with the heels, so we'll get it on the recording, were you lifting the heels up and down alternately?
Like this way.
So you can use it by tapping your heels alternately, one and then the other as well.
Yeah, because this one you can do it anytime. It doesn't look weird or anything. So.
And you could even do it like pretty subtly.
Yeah.
Sitting in a meeting, you could be having your hands on your knees and doing it that way as well. You can do it with anxiety as well. Just, encouraging yourself to breathe while tapping through it. Yeah. Thank you.
I recently found that breath work relieved pain that I had in my back for 30 years. But I don't really understand the concept. Like, I'd like to examine it further and do it more, but I don't understand. Like, is it just like a meditation where you're focusing on your breath, or are there different techniques?
Well,
Because this was guided, obviously, I was guided through it and felt the relief, so I'd like to be able to do it on my own, so.
well, so one of our participants tonight is saying she experienced low back pain for many years, and a medical person led you through a breathing exercise. Was it directed sort of specifically at?
No,
Okay.
it wasn't. I actually have pain throughout my body, but for some reason my back just released.
Oh, wow.
Which was a big plus, so I still have more.
Right. Well, my personal experience is that breath allows us to calm the body, because when we're in pain, we tighten. It's counterintuitive to relax our bodies in pain, because pain makes us tight. But for me, when I tighten, it traps it, and there's no place for it to go, and everything physically just gets tighter. So by using breath and intentionally activating the parasympathetic nervous system, it's just a great little trick, I think, because it's just making finding a way, whether it's the counting or using the rectangle, breathing at your pace, but if that exhalation's just slightly longer, and imagining that warm light coming in and just carrying the pain out with your breath. I think between the visualization, I think breath relaxing the body, I think that's how it's helpful. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And breaking that pattern too, because it's not, I mean, it's a physical pain, but when it's hard being in pain, like pain does affect quality of life. So it's really hard not to have those thoughts around pain and get aggravated and frustrated as well.
Just a thought about the breath, as Debra has clearly talked about extending the exhalation. The ideal count of your breathing is in for 4 and out for 6. And that's called slow breathing. And that probably is the optimal way we should breathe, because we breathe, 16 times a minute? And here you're getting it down to 4 to 5 times a minute. So breathing, consciously counting in for 4, out for 6 is a great way.
It's very difficult to do. I can breathe very slowly.
Right.
But trying to do the rectangle or extend it, I find it very difficult to do.
Okay.
So I don't know if I'm just holding something in and not releasing it.
So the other way to use your breath is, one is an intentional, conscious breathing, but the other way is actually to do a mini meditation. So rather than consciously trying to control the breath, simply follow your breath. And as you breathe, like what we did, the way we were led in the meditation here, just allow yourself to consciously follow your breath as you were doing a meditation. And do it for a minute, do it for 5 breaths. And it's a great thing to set cues or an alarm on your phone once an hour. And breathe take 5. Breathe in for 5 and out for 5, extending the exhalation, or do a mini meditation for 5 breaths every hour. And it's a great way to cut down that background anxiety.
The other thing is, lots of people, the idea of sitting for 20 minutes is not comfortable for lots of people. So if 5 breaths or 1 minute is manageable, then do what works for you. And if, like I try not to direct people's count, because we all have our own way of breathing. And so when someone says to me, you have to inhale for this and hold for that and exhale for that, like it's not, I learned to do it, but it was not comfortable and still sometimes is really not comfortable. So I think it is about finding what is comfortable for you rather than trying to force yourself into somebody else's model. Hi.
First, I want to thank you, Debbie, for being here. When I saw that it was you who was going to be leading this wonderful evening presentation, I had hoped that Lenny too could join me, my darling husband, and his back was bothering him a bit. One of my specialties, having been the first internationally certified prana yoga teacher from the school started by Swami Vivekananda, in 2000 is when I became an international prana yoga teacher. And there are so many wonderful teachers, wonderful books. One of them is called Breath, which is an amazing book on breath work. And I have also found something that has been mentioned in the community of yoga teachers and other areas of expertise, which you had this time right now, what you're presenting, which was just wonderful, is something that I know that Mara knows that you know too. How many of you are familiar with something called Ujjayi breath? It's the breath of the ocean. Have any of you, other than Mara and Tom maybe?
It's easier in London out.
Well, it's not only that. Your body is like a bellows. Think of a trunk. And when you are breathing, I've for years said how you breathe is how you live. And what is breath? Energy. So what kind of energy are you around? What is your conditioning, or what are you centered on? And when you are in pain, physical, emotional, all kinds of pain, where do we go to? And you mentioned so many things that all of us experience, this tightening, this feeling that if I have a bad word with you, God forbid, where does my head go? And what do I feel in my body? And there's a reaction. If it's a physical pain, that's the same thing, what's going on? So I've often found with students and teachers and mentors and gurus in the world, the importance of Ujjayi breath. It is the breath of the ocean. So when you breathe in and out, and this is for everybody, think of the sound of the ocean. When you close your mouth, you relax your jaw, and you allow your belly as women, and I was along, so you're holding it in, you're walking with good posture, but it's relaxed. So when you soften the back of your throat, and you, instead of being with open mouth, and you can do this all day, but I'm aware from the inside out, this relaxes your inner body. And as a result of that, the more you actually practice whatever mode of breath work works for you, and play with all kinds of possibilities, just like you said, in your safe place, you find through yoga, through meditation, through energy work, what really resonates with you. And one of the most universal ways of relaxing is using Ujjayi breath to relax you from the inside out. Now I'll share something that was very difficult for me last year. It was a year ago that I was at an event, and there were 7 people, but 4 were sitting, 1 on either side, 2 in front of me, and 3 others ahead of me, and it was an oval table. Someone on the left, and I'm using it here, I'm talking about staying relaxed. Someone on the left was having a very hard time with the situation. A husband was going to go into the hospital. She was feeling anxious, and I worked with her professionally and personally. And I looked at her and I said, may I suggest? I suggested something for her in terms of calling an agency regarding her husband, because she knew this agency was going to help her, but she didn't know who it was and she was anxious. So it was just common sense. Maybe you'd like to call the agency and see if they address someone for this particular time in your husband's life. And she said to me, thank you so much. I never thought of that. And thank you. And I said, I hope it's helpful. This person here, I had talked about positioning, I had slightly turned, raised her voice and said, verbatim, what are you telling her? She knows what to do. She doesn't need you to tell her what to do. She can figure it out for herself. I felt shaken inside because it was an unexpected reaction that to me came out of nowhere, but I know she was going through a lot. So I looked and I said, I have worked with this lady, and I was just talking to her about something about her anxiety, and I stopped. But instead of waiting for the next day to talk to this woman, my own inner anxiety, wanting to help, I turned to her and I said, and you know, your neighbor is someone who went through a lot. You might want to call this person, and I named them. This person shoots up and says, what are you telling her to call? And she called the person by their name. She said, he didn't handle those things. It was his kids who handled it. And instead of remaining quiet and just, as somebody wrote the book, let them or let her say it, I looked at her and I said, when it first happened, that man had to deal with what had to be dealt with. And this lady over here said, you are not front and center. This is not a lecture. Verbatim, I promise you. Some of you know me, some of you don't. Inside, the ego went, what? And oh my God, as a teacher of this and a practitioner, I would say 90% of my life is really like that. But I looked at this woman and I smiled. I was very calm. And I said, I think you'd like to be sitting where I'm sitting. I'll happily change places with you. The playfulness in me came up. She didn't hear it that way. These two ladies,
Hilda, I think
I'm wrapping it up in 30 seconds.
yes, I think we need to give time for everybody.
Yes, but
Thank you.
these two, there's a reason for it. These two people didn't say anything. And again, talk about being calm. I threw it out the window because I felt, why isn't someone saying cool it to her? And the reason I brought it up is 10 minutes later, I thought, why didn't I have patience to just allow my peace to stay with the breathwork we're learning today? And I take home today what you brought, and if anyone else has any questions that relate to prana, I'm happy to share some of the most wonderful teachings.
Thank you very much, Hilda.
Thank you.
That's great for sharing. Does anybody else have any other questions that they might like to offer, or any techniques that they do, or?
My name is Angus, and I just recently read a book that had several different things in it regarding health and well-being, meditation, qigong, on and on and on. And one of the techniques that was in the book was humming, and using different sounds to help calm your mind and body. And I guess one of the reasons for that is the vagus nerve goes through the area of your vocal cords, and by using different sounds, you can help to calm the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is activated often in a lot of pain things like migraine and different things like that. So I just found the feeling of vibration in my body quite pleasant. And if nothing else, a nice distraction from any discomfort I'm feeling. So
Thank you.
just wanted to share that.
That's a really good one, and I also came across that when I was recently trying to find out how to sort of calm the vagus nerve. And it's also one that, even though I love to do that, I sing, when I'm in pain, that's what I forget. So it's good to hear you say that again, because that's one of those things that can be very cool. Forget about it.
Singing too, for sure.
Yeah.
So Angus, do you consciously hum if you're starting to feel a bit anxious? What's the technique
Well, I've
you
tried
do?
different sounds, just out of curiosity. One that was spoken or written was a voo sound. So on the exhale, it's voo. And then the vowel sounds like e. And you're trying to make it vibrate in your body. And also the singing, and singing, just trying to get a guttural kind of sound going through your body that feels pleasant to oneself. And yeah, and I don't know if anyone here sings. I'm a terrible singer, but it is sort of cathartic at times when you put on a piece of music that you like and just sing along with it, rather than sort of ruminate about your pain or something.
It really is. We've been through some tough times in our family. Our daughter lost her fiance a few months ago to an accident. And I've been spending a lot of time with her, and there was one night where she was outside and I was in the kitchen and I started singing. I can't remember what I was singing. And I sing in my head a lot. I don't sing aloud that often. But she said, "You were singing?" I said, "Yeah." She's like, "You were singing quite loudly." I said, "Yeah, I was intentionally singing loudly because especially if you're trying to hit higher notes or something, when I squeak them out, they really sound awful. But if I gave it some air, it sounded a little better." And she said, "It made me sing," and which was really quite kind of a lovely moment. So thank you for bringing that up. So
Can I just
one of our
add
members.
another thing to that?
Sure.
Sometimes if you're doing exercise, yoga, whatever, like with a forward bend, it's really nice to yum or something like that, some of those sounds that you are talking about, but with movement. And it's also can be a very calming thing.
It's also nice to, if you're feeling strong feelings, to actually make sounds that you would think would represent that feeling. Because sometimes I believe that if we don't have a way of expressing those feelings, they kind of get stuck. So just,
Can you explain that a little bit more, the sounds that represent that feeling?
well, if you're feeling like anguish,
Yeah.
a sound that might sound like an animal that's got its foot caught in a trap, or just trying to vocalize the pain of that. For anyone who's had trauma experiences, that reoccurs, every now and again, sometimes out of frustration because those thoughts and feelings are coming back, to vocalize them and express that pain rather than just letting it swirl around in your mind.
Thank you. That's a really great point. So someone was talking about using our voice, humming and vocalizing sounds and vocalizing pain, whether it's physical or emotional pain, giving it a voice, which I think is great. And again, you can't clench, or it's much more difficult to clench and hold in while you're vocalizing and singing or making sounds or humming. So, thanks.
And using instruments as a pianist and as a musician and as a composer and singer as well. I know that, I just said it recently, that I hope my whole life that if I do sing, but if I couldn't, you talked about hearing it in your head, being able to feel it. And also, I've gone to the piano as a way of releasing. And if I've been upset about something, and I've done this since I was a kid, I start to play the piano and I start to play something quite passionate. And by the time I was done, there was a total return, total, to the true self of loving openness. I didn't sit down at the piano feeling like that necessarily. Pain, hurt, disappointment, loss, whatever it was, going to the piano, whatever it is for anybody here, it could be something else, but.
Well, that's really interesting, that you're talking about that, you're mentioning that. Debbie mentioned our daughter, Debbie and I,
Yes.
We know each other for many years, children together, all these things. And when our daughter lost her fiance, it was one of the most traumatic things I've ever been through, and I have not lived a life without trauma, I guarantee. But yeah, watching how it just, there was no language for it. So, Debbie, my wife, is profoundly full of musicality. She just has an amazing amount of music in her. So when I was a kid, I was classically trained right up to grade 9, Royal Conservatory, I'm supposed to take good reading of music and all this stuff. I put it away for decades, just for decades. One of the things that I did that was the most helpful to me, I was so effing angry over what had happened to my sweet boy. Yeah, I mean, that was the language of loss of our son-in-law. I spent a couple of hours doing a piece, and I eventually got it down to 6 movements, and all the theoretical stuff that I hadn't thought about for 30 or 40 years, the theory of music, how you construct music, how you relate the space between the notes to what it is that you're creating. All of that stuff I found incredibly engaging. And I found that source of musicality, which all depended upon the past. That was really, really helpful. And I could express the chaos without going into the details of what happened. It was a terrible accident. Music was really, really helpful. So I just wanted to mention that as well,
Thank you.
And I watched Debbie compose a couple of new songs since that time as well. Debbie composes a lot of songs, and some of that was very powerful. Hearing you do that, as well as the song you composed for your mother when she passed. So all of this, there's lots of creative ways to go, I think.
Yeah, I think using whatever form, thank you, of creativity that we're comfortable with is, music is a wonderful one because we can just get into a flow. But for people who are more graphically inclined or whatever, using your own creativity, I think, because it puts us in a different zone when we're feeling creative.
So we're coming to the end of our evening. I want to thank everybody for their offerings and their contribution. It's really interesting to learn about some things that I had no idea, so thank you very much for sharing. And importantly, a tremendous thank you to you, Deb. This was, again, a wonderful talk. I love the meditation